Setting the record straight. I will deal with you. This is a lesson for artists. I will destroy your career. Serious, abusive words. You know that something is fishy. He continued to intimidate her, isolating her, bullying her, which is very strange to me. The relationship had become extremely toxic. Extend her 5-year contract to 12 years. The falsehoods being circulated cannot be easily exhausted. This story is one that I will deal with you. I will destroy your career.
Came online, made videos to tarnish my image. He looked at me and said, I made you who you are and I will destroy you.
Those were the words of Easy T to Mercy Chinwo. And this story is one that, as an artist, as a producer, as a creative, as a man of faith, I think there are a lot of things that we can glean from this story. There are biblical and legal perspectives that is important to consider. So I just want to look at the letter that Mercy Chinwo's lawyers put out, and I want to look at what the Bible has to say about some of those things, and then probably a little bit of a legal perspective, not as a lawyer or a financial or a legal advisor rather, but as a person that lives in a legal system and has legal rights. All right, so setting the record straight. And they said that while they would have preferred to maintain silence, the severity of the falsehoods being circulated compels them to clarify the facts and set the record straight. So, contrary to sensational narratives, Minister Mercy did not initiate any court action case against Easy T regarding her music catalog. At no point has she claimed that a 50-50 revenue split from her DSP earnings is unfair. The issues with Mr. Easy T are, in fact, grave matters that have posed significant threats to her life and cannot be easily exhausted, but she has preferred to remain silent. Now, we're reading from her side, so let's just take what she has said as gospel truth. Let's take what the lawyers are saying as what it is. I think I appreciate the fact that she's not trying to dispute that the revenue split that they have agreed on is unfair. A lot of people, when we're talking about music, record label, and artist issues, people want to say that it's unfair. Why will you have a 70-30 split when the artist is doing most of the work? But you forget a lot of times that this person signed a contract. They didn't sign a contract that they thought wasn't favorable to them. When they signed the contract, they needed something and they were willing to part with whatever future earnings, whatever percentage of future earnings that they agreed to part with, because they thought it would be favorable to them. So I appreciate the fact that she's not disputing the fairness of the contract, which many people would focus on, right? When it comes to contract, the important thing is when you signed it, were you of sane mind? Were you able? Could you give consent? Eventually, they signed a contract on September 5, 2017. Now, the turning point was towards the middle of and end of 2019, commencing the third year of working with Easy T. Things began to change gradually. They had discussions, and then he wanted to extend her 5-year contract to 12 years. You know what's interesting? There's a movie called 12 Years a Slave. And that looks like what it was about to become. You've seen somebody get successful, and then you want to extend the contract to 12 years. And she's like, no, I have other plans, which is wise because the state at which you were when you signed the contract is different from where you are now. If you're going to sign another contract or you're going to renegotiate, you are now at a position of leverage. You have established yourself as a name, as a voice in the industry. And then afterwards, she noticed that at any opportunity, ECT will be hostile. It will make reference to the contract. He started talking tough and repeatedly about the contract, which was not normal. I mean, if you have, this happens, you have a close or personal relationship with somebody. When you guys are relating, you don't necessarily bring up contract, even if you've signed one. And when one person begins to bring up the issue of contract, you know that something is fishy, something is up, because contracts are usually only mentioned when there is an issue, right? So at this point, she realized she needed to have a copy of the contract, which is very strange to me. And this is a lesson for artists. When you sign a contract of any sort, you should have your copy of the contract upon signing it. I wonder what exactly went on when they signed the contract and what kind of legal counsel she really had back then. By the way, her copy of the contract was only given at the end of the contract time. That's just crazy. I've not seen anybody that gets their contract at the end of the contract. Shockingly, it turned out that the contract that was signed in 2017 had been replaced with another contract made in 2019. Then they did their investigation at EFCC where it was like, it broke down, like, please. He now admitted finally at the EFCC office for the very first time that there were two contracts. Original signed in 2017, another introduced 2 years after the actual contract had been signed. Then he appealed that the matter be settled amicably in peace. After this, there was forgiveness, there was reconciliation. But after this, Easy T himself now went to file a court case against Mercy Chinwo and Judy K separately. Lawyers are asking Easy T, can you tender these documents in public? Tell us where the 2017 contract is. Why was the document forged? Why was the 2019 document forged? What exactly is going on? I just have a couple of Bible perspectives on this. 1 Corinthians 6 says, when one of you has NLT, a dispute with another believer, how dare you file a lawsuit and ask a secular court to decide the matter instead of taking it to other believers?
This is not to paint him bad. He took me to court, came online to tell the public that I took him to court. Here are the documents.
By the time we get to verse 6, it says, but instead, one believer sues another right in front of unbelievers. So it's a shameful matter when we have to get to the point where we take each other to court to settle issues, right? Even to have such lawsuits with one another is a defeat for you. Why not just accept the injustice and leave it at that? Why not let yourselves be cheated? Instead, you yourselves are the ones who do wrong and cheat even your fellow believers. I believe in this case, from what we've seen, it's clear that Mercy Chinwo has done her level best to just let the matter be, and she's just demanding that whatever I need to get to just be given to me. I don't care about whether the split is fair or unfair, but the things that are owed to me, let me just have them. That's all. I'm not even trying to take you to court. I'm not even dragging matters with you. Now, the offending party has gone to file a lawsuit, and the Bible says it's a shame. A shameful thing when we are unable to just resolve matters amicably between ourselves. Jesus had something similar to say. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 15, he said, if another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. That's one. If the other person listens and confesses it, you have won that person. But if you are unsuccessful, take 1 or 2 people and go back again so that everything you say may be confirmed by 2 or 3 witnesses. Step 2. So if the person still refuses to listen, take your case to the church. 3. Then if he or she won't accept the church's decision, treats them as a pagan or corrupt tax collector. And sometimes it gets to the point where you have tried to settle issues with a fellow believer and you just have to seek legal redress. And it's not wrong to seek legal redress, which in this case, Mercy Chinwo isn't even really doing. It's a thief filing against her. And the lawyers are saying, just tender documents in public to tell us that what you are saying is true. So this is an understanding of how we're supposed to handle issues as believers. If you are dealing with integrity, if you are really, really dealing out of the kindness of your heart, even when you have an agreement with somebody, you are supposed to think about the fairness of what you're doing. You're supposed to think about, how can I make sure that both I and this person benefit? Yes, it's business, but how can I make sure that both I and this person benefit? Someone doesn't have to be in servitude to you forever for both of you to benefit. And if you have even had a period of benefit for a while from this person, there's no reason why that person can't go on to do their stuff. They can't be the only either talented or anointed singer in the whole world. Sign other people, you can still go ahead to have successful business and ministry careers. Now, when it comes to seeking legal redress, it's important that we get things right. As believers, it's not that you just lie down and take abuse, right? It's important to also apply discernment when it comes to, okay, how far do we want to go? How far do we want to take this issue? But there is a place in the book of Acts where Paul was being accused of no crime, actually. He was just arrested. And they were about to whip him. And he said, do you also punish Roman citizens for doing nothing? He said, you're a Roman citizen. He said, yes, I'm a Roman citizen. And the centurion or the officer that was supposed to punish him said, yeah, I know. Me too. I bought Roman citizenship for a lot of money. And he said, no, I am a citizen by birth. I was born in so and so place. So you have the right to exercise your rights as a legal citizen of a place. And if, of course, if somebody is seeking legal action against you, you can defend yourself. If it ever gets to the point where you need to take legal action against somebody, having tried 1, 2, 3, 4 means of reconciliation, then you should feel free to do so within the parameters of your discernment, and then probably the advice and counsel of wise people around you that you look up to. Because it's important that we enforce our rights. Although you are free to decide to let go of your rights, but it's also important for you to guard your rights diligently where necessary. So these are some of my perspectives on this issue. If there are any updates, I would bring them up. But this has been a very, very interesting case to watch, and I'm interested in seeing how it unfolds going forward.